We are all so freaking busy that we end up in a place of not knowing what to do next. We walk into a room, we're there for something, but we can't remember what it is. So I am so excited to have Marilyn Eppolite here with us today, who's going to tell us that we can work on one thing, just one thing to put our energy into that's going to solve that brain fog and fix that squirrely brain so that we can finally breathe for a second and relax. Did you know that you can be a respected professional and also have life balance? That voice that says you're just going to disappoint everybody, that's total mind BS.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Eppolite, and I'm an energy transformation mentor. And I'm here today to talk about the one thing to eliminate brain fog, accidents, and anxiety. So that sounds like magic. I know really overstepping here, but really once you figure out what the magic is being in your body and being present. So that you would think that that is easy, but actually it's not. We have a body, but we don't really live there. So we, call it our home, but we let it go by itself most of the time. We let our minds run the show. So we really underestimate the power that we have. And when we show up in our lives fully embodied, magical things can happen. So if you want to show up in your life fully present and ready to make clear choices, you want to be much more within your body. You could make decisions to move forward without apology and without self-judgment. So let's discuss disembodied. We have to say what's embodied, what is disembodied. So we talk a little bit about a lot of people are like ghosts living their lives. They're really not there. We're kind of walking brains. And so when someone is in the future, they tend to be rushing ahead. The head is going forward, and they are in the future, not really knowing where their body is. And actually, it throws their whole structure out of misalignment. They are in the future, they trip over themselves. They don't notice if something's on the floor, they bump in the walls. Most people would call this being accident prone or maybe even absent-minded. So a lot of this is part of the brain fog that happens when we're not in the body itself. So we're too busy worried about where we're supposed to be or where we think we're supposed to be. So we're not really being embodied. So I brought a friend along to demonstrate today. And I think not being in our body is a lot like being a helium balloon. We can get carried away with the wind. There's no rudder. There is no control. So when you're not embodied, you're not there. You are not in your place of power. So others can manipulate you because you're not there to make choices. You're just in the future somewhere. So I want you to remember this image of the balloon. It's very important as you go through your day because this will happen a lot of times if you're worried and rushing ahead. So, okay, so we used an example. So let's see, what does embodiment mean? We're talking about somatic awareness. And somatic means of the body. So what we're describing is really feeling totally in your body and allowing your brain to be part of it, but not really running the show. So this is my body. I make the decisions. I am in control. What you can do is actually claim, put a stake in the ground, kind of like a flag in the ground. You're grounded. You're here. This is my right to make my decisions. So there is a sense of power in being able to claim that. So you may ask, all right, you saw the balloon. You may really think that that is you sometimes. If you want to stop doing that, you have to become more conscious of where you are in the moment. And so, in order to move forward, we can do a few exercises that will kind of explain how all this happens. So, if you start to sit down in a chair and go halfway down, your legs have to hold you up. And instead of being in your head, your legs, your calves, your thighs are working their hardest to keep you hovering over that chair. That grounds your energy. And it is so fascinating because you can't be in your head when you're doing that. So if you ever get ahead of yourself, you might want to try that exercise and see how that works. I would practice it anyway, just to give it a good shot to do this. Another wonderful exercise would be the body scan. I think most people have done that by now. It's where you are paying attention with your eyes closed, you're going inward. And what you're doing is naming each part of your body from the top to the bottom. And you do that slowly enough so that you are totally focused on what you're doing. And that is going to bring you back to your center. It clears the mind and it just gives you a sense of peace and can help with managing anxiety. I have another tip for you. If you imagine that your energy is outward, that you're thinking in the future and everything is, oh, I can't figure out what I'm going to do today. I have to do this, and it's just going on in your mind. What you can do is bring your arms out and imagine that you are bringing all of that energy back into you and feel it in your torso. Really good to put it in your solar plexus. That's kind of your place of power. And you're bringing that back in. So just the movement of doing that with your arms and pulling it in, you're creating this little circle that was once out there. It is now here. And it helps you to shift your whole viewpoint so that you can be more present in this moment. So all of these things really help with a deeper connection to self and to spirit, because you're actually awakening that part of you that is your true self. So, and of course, that's going to provide you with a sense of safety and freedom from anxiety. Isn't that what we want?
Yes, please.
So that's my exercises. And I think that a lot of people can benefit from those. But I actually have in my free gift, which is called the Anxiety First Aid Resource Guide. It's for everyday upsets to wow, that really threw me events. You know, those times when your computer crashes. It's like, what do I do now? So you want to navigate those times, but also it provides something for you to really practice, because when you are out and about in your life, there can always be an accident or something upsetting. You receive a message that's very disturbing, and you can go into shock. So many of these exercises will help bring you back. So offering this free gift, and it's the kind of thing that you practice so you remember how to do them. And that is my contribution today to help people have peace in the world.
If you will humor me, I would love to try it. I'm going to try the chair one. So I'm going to stand up and I'm going to sit kind of halfway down to the chair. That's the exercise.
Yeah.
Okay. And as I sit here and get grounded, I would like to share a little example. You were talking about the balloon and drifting with the wind and not having a rudder. And I want to share an example. When I get like that, when I'm not embodied, one of the things that happens is I get excited by every single ad I see. And my ads are very well targeted to me. And I go, oh my goodness, maybe I need that in my life. Maybe I need to learn that. Maybe I need to buy that course. And then maybe I'll go and I'll buy it. And then I'll see another ad. Oh, maybe that course, maybe that's exactly what I need. And I'll go off into all of these different directions. I feel like I'm floating with the wind, going in all these directions. My mind is saying, I need all these things in order to be,
Right.
happy or whatever. Okay. Now I'm feeling grounded. I'm feeling my legs going nuts. Can't think of anything except for the balloon.
Think of buying one of those courses when you're doing that.
Absolutely.
It'll just, if you feel that and notice that you're much more centered, because you can actually feel your energy drop into your legs. Now, the key is keeping it there.
Ooh.
To being more stable, more grounded. And, a physical example of this is as people age, they begin to lose their balance. That particular exercise, it's a little harder when you're losing your balance to do that. But the whole grounding is to bring your energy down in your body so that you could feel your feet. You know that your legs are working. So it's a great stabilization exercise.
Absolutely. And it helps you to slow down, because I know when I'm getting into that, how like the helium balloon goes around in the wind, I get, well, you were talking about anxiety, right? But I get all these spiraling thoughts. I call it my squirrely brain. Like it's just this and oh, I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to pick up the kids and what are we going to do for dinner? Blah, 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 squirrel brain, right? And so taking a minute to do that recentering or any of those exercises that you showed. And as you were talking about, bringing the energy into this exercise, I was thinking, I wonder if I can bring more than energy. I wonder if I could, imagine bringing love, which, is just energy, or if I can imagine bringing trust. I'm going to bring trust that it will work out, that the decision I've made, is the right one for me because I made it in my body. You know what I mean?
And what you're doing with your hands on your heart, bringing it in, you are connecting to yourself somatically, because your hands on your body are reminding your brain that you have a body. So it is that comfort A lot of the centering exercises or calming exercises have to do with touching the body, because we forget we have it unless it hurts, unless there's something wrong.
Yep.
But by touching the body, it's a reminder. Yes, and it's comforting. It's like you're a child again, and you are remembering what it's like to be comforted, and you're doing it for yourself.
Hmm. And I love when you're talking about, practicing it and coming home to yourself, because when you're doing that for a child, it's not something you can do one time or one day or 1 month and have it have a lasting effect. This is something that is an everyday thing. So, do you have a routine or stuff that you do every day in order to keep yourself in this grounded state?
Well, I have to be in tune with myself, especially when I'm working with clients, because they're usually like that, right? With the squirrel brain. And so if I'm not grounded first, of course, it's going to be really hard to work with someone. But yes, I have a whole list of things that I do. And a lot of it only takes a couple minutes when when you've practiced them already. It's even just taking a couple breaths to kind of pull yourself back inside by feeling your lungs, by feeling the air run through you. Everything is with the body. If you're feeling anxious, where do you feel it? You kind of feel it, in the head, you feel it in the digestive tract, you feel jittery all over. So it is a body sensation. So in order to help calm ourselves, it will come back into the body. And so even just doing a couple of slow breaths will help remind us, yes, I can come back. And, like you did, hands on heart is a great reminder to come back to yourself.
Mm. Yeah, I love that term of coming back to yourself, right? Like, this is how we started. And then the world taught us that, logic rules, don't trust your emotions, shove them down because heaven forbid anybody might see them. And so I love this concept of coming back to ourselves. And I'm very curious, Marilyn, how did you figure this out for yourself? Do you have a story around that? And then how did you link it to brain fog?
Yeah, well, I had a long history of anxiety. Um, I worked with um, getting over childhood trauma, which so many people have had. And I made it my quest to figure out how to do that and to help other people. I took many different trainings. Some of the things I developed on my own because I felt they worked with me, and then I found that they worked with other people as well. So, you know, um, just having that experience of keep looking until you find something that works. I have a whole set of tools. So this anxiety first aid resource is just a couple of them that I have. And I will be offering a course on this so that people can learn. Not all of them will work for everyone. You have to practice them and see which ones work for you and when they're going, sometimes it's a little upset, or sometimes you have a little problem in a little bit of time, and sometimes you have a big thing going on. So it's going to take a longer, maybe even a combination of things in order to settle yourself. And especially if you've had trauma in your life and you haven't worked on that at all to heal, that makes it much more difficult. So there's ways of working towards that healing.
Okay. So all of Marilyn's links are going to be in the description so you can get a hold of her. I encourage you to grab that first aid guide for anxiety so you can get started today working on getting back to yourself so that you can feel more centered, eliminate brain fog, reduce anxiety, and stop bumbling around, leading with your head. So, Marilyn, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we sign off, is there any last words you'd love to leave our audience with?
I would say begin today, because any of these, being accident prone or having brain fog or having anxiety is really no way to live. And there is help. There are ways to overcome it. So that's my encouragement, to do something to change that behavior.
And it's so simple to begin. You've helped make it so simple with these simple exercises that we can do in seconds in order to recenter ourselves and get back into our bodies. So thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Thank you, Christina. Bye.
Let's get apt. Fulfilled. Subscribe below and see if we can make that happen.